didn't you feel for the people of Florida that their electricity is in the hands of NextEra? I mean,
they were going to take over here.
I'm gonna counter you. I was watching it this morning. I think they're doing a good job.
they are doing a good job.
NextEra seems to really be on it.
They are doing a good job, but
I thought about that too.
I
They're on
just
it.
couldn't. Where shall we start?
Well, let's start with last week, which was a short week in the Senate, and we were back in business, and I think things went bipartisan. Yeah, a little better than we had all anticipated, and I think everyone was a little surprised, maybe even Trump's administration, on how things went. We're clearly not done with all of those issues, but I think it was definitely a step in the right direction of all this bipartisan talk that we keep hearing about. So
Tell us your take, Malia, on, and this wasn't on our talking points, but you were there, so I'm curious to hear. I mean, Trump, yanked the rug out from under his GOP leadership. Quit smirking. I can't trust the guy. I mean, he can turn again. What do you think what's the sense that the impact of that's going to be? Will the Republicans continue to, I hate the hurricane analogy, but I'm rolling with it. You know, it hit landfall, so now it's just falling apart into lots of different little pieces.
I'm not sure. You know, it's difficult for everyone to predict. I've talked to Senator Schatz about it to see what he thinks, you know, what this means moving forward, if there's going to be a continuing trend on, you know, bipartisan, the president being more open to it and all of that, and I think that's what they're hoping for and thinking, but obviously no one can say for sure what's going to happen. You know, there's a lot of different theories about what actually happened last week and whether it was as simple as he was convinced by Schumer, you know, and wanted to start winning and getting some good press. Or, you know, there's a bunch of theories out there for why it actually happened, but I think they're focusing on using that to move forward and continue to work together. I don't know, Chuck, what do you think?
I think with this president, I'd be interested in what, it's always tactical. So for that particular moment, for that particular tactic, that's what happened. And I would neither be disheartened by it or elated, but it's better than the alternative. So it was tactically what happened, right? So now, and it's a marker of sorts. In Washington, markers are important.
I wondered why the Senate and the House leaders, them having the power, why his leadership on that they disagreed with, why they couldn't override it. Is it because of the raising of the debt limit? You know what I mean? They have to do the voting. He doesn't do the voting.
There were 17 votes against it in the Senate, all of which were Republicans.
And more importantly, 90 in the House, which means they can't pass a bill without Democratic votes.
So they had the opportunity.
Here was a free vote for Republicans, and still 90, including 3 Texans, voted against aid. I must say it's a pleasure to see the Republican Party is screwed.
Let's not counteract against
No.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, it's nice to see that they're in.
I feel like the blowback is twice as bad when that's my fear, but
I think honestly it's a waste of time to analyze too much and you say, okay, good.
Let's go for the next issue.
It's got one in the bag. It could have been a lot, well, like you said, Chuck, and okay, we got a lot to move
Where
forward.
does that
you and I were texting about that in the last few days.
Where does that put the dream at?
Yeah, can we talk about DACA now? I mean, I know a lot of people are a little, not a lot, there are some people who are miffed that it didn't get attached to the debt ceiling. Some of us have been in touch individually. I'm sort of the mind it was a tactical win on the debt ceiling. Congress has DACA now, what are we gonna do?
Can I ask a background question? How many versions of the Dream Bill are currently in circulation between the House and the Senate? Do you have any idea?
I don't know the answer to that, do you know?
Because, I mean, there are a lot of different parts, like what
Yeah,
happens to
I
their
know.
family members, do they
Right.
get green cards or citizenship or don't? I mean, there's like so many different parts that we could want to support or not support, depending on what they were. To say, just pass the DREAM Act, yes, we need a DREAM Act, but we need the right DREAM Act. And I guess, what is Senator Schatz doing about the details of the DREAM Act, number one, and then number two, what is he doing to get support, especially bipartisan support, you know? And I know that he has a good history of reaching across the aisle for all sorts of different things, which is wonderful.
So I don't have a specific answer to your question on how many versions there are, and I haven't had a chance to speak to them about this issue. I think the last, what day is today? Tuesday. The last couple of days we've been, watch out. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. We've been kind of focusing on Equifax and what's happening with that, and, you know,
I don't think there's a majority
Yeah.
bill even on it at this point. I think it's just an idea, talking points as far as the Republican, as far as the majority. Republicans are the majority, there's not a majority bill that I'm aware of. Because the old, reform, you know, the Rubio reform bill from 5 years ago, but that's, so it's got a long way to go. it
Lindsey
seems.
Graham, though, was one of the co-sponsors. So there must be some text
That's what Rubio,
circulating.
There's, it's my understanding, there's one bill that would extend it, the Graham, some Democrat, bill would extend it for 3 years.
So it's a stopgap measure.
It's a stopgap
down the road.
measure for 3 years. That's pending.
Past the
That's the
election
one
and-
that is.
Is that the
2 weeks
bipartisan
ago
one?
had the,
That's the
it
midterm.
seems to me that the battle will be, as you say, the majority has to bring it up. And what amendments are going to be, right? Is the deal gonna be build a wall, punish parents?
Yeah.
All those issues, and I think that goes back more than tactics, it's strategy, is no, right?
Yeah, we can.
I mean, we're, you know.
There's also the varying opinions that the president has weighed in with
Yes.
on what his preferences are.
Right, but I think our strategy is
Fight for the right.
DACA, yes, no wall, no punishing the parents, no, you know, no going back. You're not gonna use Dreamers
treat it
as
all.
hostages, and
Yeah.
our expectation is all 48 Democrats of all stick together on that.
Yeah.
Do you think that's viable, that all 48 will stick together on that package?
There are one or two who might not, it's hard, but I think the large
Virginia
majority
guy.
of them would. And
Virginia
certainly,
guy.
you can certainly count on your Senator Schatz.
Do you know who those two are? Because I'll go to
Well,
work
I don't
on
wanna,
them.
I mean, when the camera's off or something, you can make your best guess about who the most conservative Democrats in the Senate are.
Cause I got a list from J20 this morning, cause I'm on the immigration committee there, and it gave me 100 people that I can contact, you know, in regards, you know, that has to do with Congress, the Senate and things, and I will start calling. I have free long distance calling, and I called on the healthcare, I called every state. I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat, so.
But
Okay.
I would support one provision to build the wall now, provided Mexico pays for it. But in the interim, any government employee who has a lease with the federal government can loan the money to the federal government to have it built. So I would accept that amendment. Or maybe every government employee who has a real estate lease with the government is required to loan the money to the government until, of course, the Mexicans pay us back.
We might get 48 votes on that.
Okay, Equifax.
Yeah, let's talk about Equifax. I know I got a press release from you this morning, so why don't you, I haven't gotten it out, so why don't you update everyone?
Some copies.
Absolutely.
Take a copy.
Make sure everybody gets one, then I'll, because she sent it to me electronically. us about it?
Yeah, so, you know, I don't know how many of you follow Senator Schatz on Twitter, but he went on a tweet storm, all of yesterday, and, I'm sorry?
Capital letters.
Yes.
See that.
So he feels quite strongly about, what's happening and is committed to, protecting consumers' rights. And so he reintroduced this bill, and we're gonna see what happens.
But I think it's worth noting, he had been concerned about the whole issue of credit transparency
Yeah.
for the consumer well before the Equifax
Right.
deal happened, so he's been on this one for almost a year, I think.
Now there's information about insider trading there too, isn't it?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he sent a letter to the CEO of Equifax, it was a.
That they unloaded their
strong
stock
letter.
early.
And that they were requiring sneaking in mandatory arbitration.
Right.
Oh, yes, if you want to go to the Equifax website and find out whether your data has been released, you have to, in the small print is mandatory arbitration. So there's no way to access that information without agreeing
That's right.
to the arbitration. Which is, I don't know about the laws, but it's obviously unethical.
Yeah, so he is well informed on all of these issues and is following it very closely and is pushing really hard on a number of different fronts.
Please thank him for that.
So,
Yeah.
he is not backing down from this
Can,
one.
can you give us the elevator version of this bill that he's pushing?
Chuck, would you like to do that?
I can't.
Okay.
There are some
Except that
highlights
I
noted
think
in the press release.
it's in the
that's
press
like-
release, and what it does is it just, I don't know the details of how it does it, but it's designed to ensure that consumers have more accountability and access when there are issues of credit questions.
Okay.
But I don't know the details. of it.
There are
Following
five
this
bullet
issue
points, yeah.
closely, and I read it,
Good.
two provisions, it makes it much easier for the consumer to correct, credit errors.
To track it and correct
That's
it,
right.
yeah.
Track it and correct. And it sends to the Consumer Finance Bureau to set rules and standards and best practices for credit bureaus, to follow in this.
Okay.
And again, I want to say, again, follow this closely. The senator is in the lead, out front, clear, with a clear liberal progressive message. Now, let me give you some advice. This is bigger than this. This goes to the little guy being screwed, to use our other senator's language, screwed every day. This is the Republicans and Trump are allowing illegal corporations and the rich guys to set the rules. They play by one rule. We break the law on being hacked, not telling anyone, insider trading. The rich and illegal corporations get to play by their rules, and then they dictate the rules to us on, yeah, you can't sue in court arbitration, and yeah, you got to spend your time to correct their errors. So I would suggest, and I have some possible language, is up the language and go after the core issue that motivated voters. This is the little guy getting screwed again, and the rich illegal corporations making their own rules. And I would then add another addendum in. It's great that individuals should easily be able to correct their credit scores. We're told how important it is. We have a company that appears to have broken the law. They now have a affirmative obligation and should be liable if they have incorrect data. Now, in the past, it's been argued they had freedom of speech. They could say whatever they wanted to. But they have been proved, or will be, we believe, violated the law on disclosure and allowing the records to be hacked. Sure, make it easier for us to correct. Make them follow good standards. But they have now, if you're convicted of violating the law and are a legal corporation, the burden of proof is on you to have accurate credit scores. Thank you for listening to my rant, but I think you get the language. It's more than just full disclosure. Let's step up and hurting the little guy, and the game is rigged for the rich.
So you're saying that if they do harm to consumers by publishing wrong data, that they should be liable for that harm?
Exactly. And they're not now. They don't need, they sort of have to correct it maybe if they want to, and if you pay them enough. That's the rule now. And they say it's First Amendment.
Is there a possibility of ever allowing people to change their social security number if they become really victimized by this?
That's very
Sounds
difficult.
complicated. I think that
That's
is
an
very,
interesting question.
very complicated. That, I got hacked and I changed my bank account. It was quite easy.
Okay. Chuck,
Threw a
let me
few
share
checkbooks away.
a letter. This is, I'm trying to use some of the language
Yeah.
that relates to freedom and defending the little guy.
I didn't-
And again, that's one of style and criticism, if you would share
Okay.
that with the senator.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you got it right here.
And it's titled, Restore Capitalism, Protect Freedom, and Punish Equifax. That's kind of my thing.
Thank you.
So update us on extreme weather. We don't call it that other word anymore, we're calling it extreme weather. Yeah. I even heard that in my 6 hours of watching coverage, that we're using the terms extreme weather, that we need to do something
Yeah,
about
and
it.
Senator Schatz has been saying that for a while now, that that's one of the ways that he's been able to,
Circumlocution for
yeah,
climate change.
you know, work across the
Okay.
aisle is calling it extreme weather and other things. You know, I think with what's happened in the last week and a half across the country between the fires and Harvey and Irma, it is now in the forefront of everybody's mind on how we're going to deal with this moving forward. It's obviously been, for Senator Schatz, top of mind before all of this happened, and so, you know, we're not trying to politicize the tragedies that are happening, but it is an opportune time to talk about what is happening and what we're gonna do. You know, I saw what you said about the Paris climate deal and us getting back in, and I don't know that that's a viable option. But what they are doing is working together with basically everyone besides the president, right? And so it's CEOs, it is governors, it's mayors, it's across the country, across the world, frankly. Everyone is, you know, hashtag we're in, we're still in, right? And so there is a group going to, where are they going to? Bonn?
Yeah, Bonn.
Bonn.
Germany.
Including the senator, and, you know, they're doing everything they can without the president and working around the president to make sure that we're moving forward.
So what does that look like? I mean, I know that's a hard question, but.
Yeah, it's a hard question.
So it is I mean, it's the president's EPA. It's the major
Yeah.
forces in the past that have been used to do something about extreme weather or climate change, whatever you want to call it. I don't think there's an answer to how you disenfranchise the administration from their duties. But, so I don't know what the answer to that is. What does that look like? It looks like you have to use every other avenue available to you. International, news media, certainly the news media is not going to be shy on this. I think it'll be more inclined to report on this issue than before. So you have to use all those other avenues that we've talked about over the months, other than, if there's not a direct approach, then you use everything, all the flanking action you can to continue to squeeze on the issue.
And is there real bipartisan engagement in Congress on this now? At least in the Senate, I won't ask you about the House, but does he feel like, and we use that word in here a lot, and we always sort of couch it in not naming names, but is that real, or is that just, gosh, I wish I could be with you, Brian, but you know, this president of the party and I can't?
I think it is real. I think some of the ways that he's been successful in the past is, you're talking about a lot of rural areas, right, with farmers, a lot of ag land, a lot of people who are directly impacted by extreme weather, climate change, whatever you want to call it. And so, there is increasing work across the aisle because they're representing those people, right? A lot of heavy R states are ag and are being impacted substantially.
But they also get millions and millions and millions of dollars from the fossil fuel industry, and that's been the problem for a decade, if not
Right.
more. I mean, there's nothing new. I mean, if only we would have known, right? We've known for 20 years. Anyway, it's really frustrating to me. I mean, I just think we have to go way beyond Trump to get this done. I mean,
Yeah.
Pruitt is a nightmare. There's so many people in Trump's administration that are, the word climate change has been ripped out of.
Oh, yeah. The senator
The
has been
energy
very vocal
department
about
and-
Pruitt.
Yeah, right, I
He's
know.
the absolute worst person that could have been chosen.
Yeah,
to head of the EPA.
I'm just venting. It's just, and the Interior Secretary, I mean, it's just a nightmare all the way down. So I just don't think we have to, it's gonna be states and it's gonna be.
It is gonna be states, and so when you go back to your
Hawaii is
question
gonna
about
be
what are we gonna do, right? It is like, what does Hawaii do? We're committing to our
Right.
clean energy goal, which is the most ambitious in the country. And, everybody has to do their part, right, in making these sort of commitments, and individually and collectively, which I think for the first time, it's unfortunate that this is sort of what's spurred it to happen, but everyone is collaborating.
I think this is, for me, a really important point. The whole thing that's going on in Bonn. You have a bunch of people getting together and circumventing the government, basically.
Yeah.
And showing up and going, that's not the US, this is the US.
Right.
This is who we really are. And holding hands together and just going, forget them. Just ignore them, talk to us. If we can find, first of all, we need to make a huge amount of noise about this. It goes beyond why it's this one issue. But the point is, we did it. And we need to do it more. And we need to use this as a springboard for how we can get things done in the current circumstance. There is a chunk in the middle, Republicans and Democrats, who want to work together on at least some issues. When you get to border issues, that's going to be dicey. But on other issues, if we can do that for more and more issues, and there's been some discussion about what you want to call that. What leaps to my mind is alt-US. This is the other US. This is the real US. Call it real US, whatever we want to call it. And use this and really push this forward as a reality, not just for this one item. I think this has a lot of potential if we steer it in the right way and just say, forget all those people. They're in government, but there are other ways to do this, and we're going to do it without them.
And you can help the market along on this. Yeah, you can
I
help
think
the
you're
market
saying
along on this.
real
because
America.
Look at all
The
the
real
The
car
real
companies.
America.
Call it real
Yeah.
America.
Right.
Okay.
Really investing hugely now.
We have the hat that's
Electric
blue and
cars
red, we
and-
put real America across
That,
the
and there are
move
places
on,
where
move on.
That's very
the,
good.
the horse is already going the way we want it.
Yeah.
You just
Can I
gotta
just
get
piggyback
on it and ride
Everywhere
it,
but
yeah.
the US.
Yeah, everywhere but the US.
Go for it, Maya.
So,
Yeah,
buy an
so-
electric BMW.
One of the things that the United States used to be known for up until recently was caring about the rest of the world as well. And while we're focused on Harvey and Irma, I think it's important to recognize that tenfold, if not more, people have died and lost their homes in
In
Southeast
India.
Asia due to
Yeah,
flooding, which
right.
can directly be related to climate change. And that there is very good data that climate change is related to war and other types of civic unrest. So there are two things that I think if Senator Schatz is acting as a representative of the real United States that need to be brought up. One is we do care about other countries and how much they are suffering, and not just about Harvey and Irma, as vast and awful as they are. And the second thing, and it's not directly related to climate change at all, but I think it's just been so far under the radar and so unjustifiably so, is the genocide in Burma that's, and on the Bangladesh border that's going on right now. It's directly related to how we as good, true, patriotic Americans see our role in the world, which is that we step in and we help, whether we send money, whether we accept refugees. Those are things that we are not doing anymore, except as individual citizens. But we've said never again ever since the Holocaust. And we said it after Rwanda, and we said it after what happened in Bosnia. And are we really gonna turn around with a clear conscience and see it again? Or can we speak out now while it's happening and try to direct resources and put pressure on governments directly to stop it in its tracks?
I'd like to say something about changing words and doing away with the meaning of what actually is taking place. Now, I am for every group that we could possibly get going to Bond, going anyplace else. They have changed the wording in textbooks. They have changed what's allowed to be taught in school. This is a big fight. To all of a sudden, global warming doesn't exist. We're going to call it another word. And so then you forget about the science behind everything that's going on. The Republicans will agree forever. You want to call it whatever you want to call it. They don't care. What they don't want is you to do anything to change the causes of it. And that's where big oil and everything else comes in. We can't fudge that issue. State by state is a good tactic. We do whatever we can and state by state, and we keep pushing and we keep pushing. But we gotta go right in their face. They don't believe in science because they're getting paid not to believe in science. They're giving grants to professors to come out with phony reports and everything else like that. We cannot fudge this issue. What took place in Texas, what's taking place in Florida, what's taking place around the world, is an exact result of what these Republicans have done all over the place. They are anti-science, and no changing of any word will do away with that. So right now, we have the issue. The issue is that what they are doing to allow the corporations to continue to destabilize the ecosystem of the world is on them. And we have to keep it on them and not fudge this stuff that they can say, oh yeah, well, you know, what they have said. It has nothing to do with what human beings are. Global warming has nothing to do with what human beings are doing. So we can call it extreme weather, we can call it whatever else. We gotta keep the focus on science, their anti-science agenda, the effect that it's having on the world, and not give them any easy way out, because there is no easy way out.
Thank you.
And I'm Ray from Indivisible.
I know. You remind us every Tuesday.
Do the right thing for the wrong reason.
You know, to what Barbara said and what Ray from Invisible and I were talking about out on the sidewalk before we came in, and I think what you guys have seen too. The only thing to come out of this administration that might take root and make a difference is that we all know each other. And it's not just us, it's that all these people are now going to bond, and it's the real America is finally stepping up. I mean, I knew Kim before we started all this. I didn't know anyone else in the room. And I think that's true of most activists right now. And I think it is bigger than all of us in our little groups around the country. And if we can get on that momentum and go to bond and not sweep the science under the table. The science is what this is all about. I laugh at his hat over there. I mean, that's what it's all about. And we've got to make racism wrong again. We are the voice for that, and if not us, who? And our Senator you guys say he hasn't changed. We've seen it change. And the guy that was like, give this guy a chance to see the cabinet, to no. And we got, 3 more years, perhaps. I refuse to say 7. 3 more years of that in front of us. And I'm right with Barbara on the Real America. I don't like Alt America, as she knows, but I love Real America.
Real
Yeah,
America.
yeah, that's good.
But I think, and Brian's taken the lead too, not just on saying no. We continue to say no, we'll never be past saying no. But into phase 2, which is, and these are the things we say yes to.
Exactly.
Okay, we got the election coming up, and he is being proactive in a number of fronts. And that's gonna be really, really important. That's why I'm excited about Real America. That is a proactive, it's different, it's something you can take out and go. It's not business as usual. Okay, you wanted to open those doors, you wanted to, toast government, cool, we'll toast government, we're gonna ignore you. Try that. We're just gonna go on without you. That's completely different.
Another positive action is to thank the senator for co-sponsoring Bernie Sanders' healthcare for all bill.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, they all laugh at me when I say 3 of the 4 of our delegation, because they all know it's dog whistle for something else. This time, it's actually a different 3 of the 4 are all on a single payer train of some sort, and I'm very hopeful the 4th one will be on it soon. That's exciting.
Yeah, so that's being rolled out tomorrow. Senator Sanders is having a press conference tomorrow. So that's something to be excited about.
Oh, and I wanted to join Ray. I'm Greg from Indivisible.
Okay.
We've run out of time with you. The other 2 things on our agenda, and you've read it because you read it before I write it, is just keeping an eye on the investigation. We're worried that as other, shiny things take the spotlight, that gets lost, and we don't want it to get lost.
There are rumors that Mueller has flipped Paul Manafort. It's true, well, he's been.
We can't confirm or deny such
Statement.
things, because we don't know.
And then lastly, debt ceiling was a great start. There's budget, there's money, there's a flippin' wall. Please share with them our concerns.
Well, he's made it clear he's not.
Oh, I don't, right, yeah. And thank him for us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
hanging in there.
you to the senator.
Yes.
Yes.
Keep doing a great job.
Keep doing it.
And we're all gathering. Barbara, tell them about Friday, if they wanna come join us.
Friday, 4 o'clock.
Oh, at Boho.
Buho. Cucina and Cantina. It's on our website, the exact address, but it's social hour, because we don't often have a chance to actually get to meet each
And
other.
we don't
It's
bitch and
good
whine,
and-
we actually bring
So,
it each other.
if y'all are free, it's here from 4 to 7, we get a couple tables, last time we had a great time.
So you're welcome to join us.
Thank you, yes.
Welcome to
Every
Real
once in a
America.
while.
Could we
Yes.
promise to not badger them to encourage?
We've started doing more of these,
We'll
and
like
actually
ask
more
you
people
about
are
your
showing
kids
up,
and
so
hobbies and stuff.
we'd love to have you come have a beer with us.
Okay, thanks.